let the record show that members Martin, Thompson, Friedrich, Smith, Waschinsky, Johnston, and Kaisley are present, and we have a quorum. Our first item of business is the July 7th, 2020 minutes. Is there a motion? Member Johnston moves, and Member Frederick seconds. Is there any discussion about the July 7th committee meeting minutes? Hearing none, all, well.
Understand, it's hard to switch that.
That's right. So.
I'll go. Are you ready for me to take roll?
You may, yes.
And do you want to vote, sir, on that?
Yes.
Okay. Member Martin.
Yes.
Member Johnston.
Yes.
Thank you. Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Thompson.
Yes.
Member Waschinsky.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Member Friedrich.
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. The ayes have it. We'll go ahead on the payment of bills. And does anybody have any question about bills? Member Martin?
On the first page, or page 2 of 9, under food, what are we paying? There's like maybe 3 or 4 people's names. What is that?
Mr. Stokes, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. So that is our union guys that are out watching the oil and chip work. And so in their union contract, when they work over 12 hours a day, they get a meal check. It more falls in line in the wintertime, but they do sometimes here in the summer. We usually have 2 guys out there, and then 1 guy was gone for a week, and so we had another guy filling in for him.
Okay, I was wondering about the $60. They're on there twice. Seemed like quite a bit of food for one person. Or is he buying for the whole group?
Right. Yeah, he was one of the ones that was there the whole time, and I think that was a couple weeks where they worked a lot. You know, they were working 12, 14-hour days.
So this is not one meal. This is several.
Yes. Yeah, it's multiple days. It's $10 per day.
Okay. All right.
He had a big appetite. All right. Any further questions? Is a motion to approve the payment of bills and transfers?
Lizzie's got a couple questions, I think.
All right. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I did have a couple questions, and I had sent them to Jerry ahead of time. Really, when I was looking through the bills, I noticed that we had quite a few tire expenses, which I hadn't really noticed before. And so I just wanted to see if we could answer, like, did we replace all of our tires? Was there something that happened in one of the projects?
No, it's kind of a combination of things. That we just had our tandem trucks have 10 tires total on them. And so we just had a couple trucks come due. We've been doing a lot of trucking, so they all just kind of came due at the same time. And so we had like 3 trucks where we replaced 4 tires, and we didn't even replace them all, just 4 of the back steering tires. And those tires are about $330 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of adds up. And so that's kind of where
it did add up very quickly. I was a little, I had seen some tire expenses before, but not for that. And then the other one is there were some expenses about kind of an on-the-job injury. It wasn't a huge expense, but just wanted to make sure that we were kind of addressing if there was a safety issue or what was going on for the injury.
Yeah, it wasn't actually it wasn't a work injury. It was we had a new employee start, and it was a pre-employment physical.
Oh, okay.
So that's what that was. And then the drug test that goes along with that. So there was no injury.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Sure.
If there were an injury, it would probably be covered by comp. So,
Correct. Yeah, we just go out to the integrated work in IWIN is what we call it for the physicals, and some other if there is a minor injury, then we send them out there.
all right, is there a motion? Moved by member Frederick, seconded by member Thompson. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I have to take roll call.
Excuse me.
I know. So sorry. And will you be voting on this one, Judge?
Yes,
Okay. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Wachinski,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley.
yes. The ayes have it. And we'll go on to departmental matters. And the first one is the transfer of jurisdiction over Seminary Street in the village of Downs from the county highway system to the village of Downs. And I believe that's about a half a mile of highway. It is, however, the main street of the village of Downs. We voted on this last month, if you recall, but the executive committee tabled the matter and sent it back to us to consider any public comment that might be forthcoming. And I don't know if there are any people who are present in the government center. Are there members of the public?
There are no members of the public here, Judge.
All right. I think these three items can be taken as one. Is there a motion?
Judge, if I can interject here, I do have a comment on this. If you'll allow me to talk about it.
You may.
Thank you.
I'm confused.
I did have an opportunity to talk to Chairman McIntyre yesterday. He approached me about this intergovernmental agreement. And the question was, would there be a possibility of adding a provision with Downs to allow farming equipment to go through on this road? And I don't, it's not in here at the moment, but I told him that that's something that I could certainly reach out to Downs to see if we can negotiate that as kind of an easement. But I just wanted to put that out there, that is a possibility. I don't know if that would be something they would agree upon, but if that's something you're interested in, I can look into that too.
And if I may, Judge, I would also add before a discussion ensues that when you asked me if there was public comment, I said no, but we do have the mayor of Downs, Mr. Mike James, on the screen. He was invited to come and address your questions, so I didn't consider him necessarily a submitter of public comment, but just so the membership knows he is within the virtual realm here, and as your discussion ensues, perhaps he would be able to join in or answer questions. So thank you for allowing me to clarify. Thank you.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
What would the position of the Department of Transportation be if we attempted to modify the agreement with the village of Downs relative to farm traffic on Seminary Street?
The department wouldn't have any issue with that if that's in our agreement. If we need to add that to the agreement, that's not a problem.
All right, thank you. So does anybody else have any question for Mr. Stokes in that regard?
Yeah,
Member Frederick?
I have two concerns. So the first one, maybe not as much concerns, but just items for discussion. One is the project as a whole. I know we've done these transfers and intergovernmental agreements between Chenoa, and we just did one with Danvers the other day. So educate me, Jerry, is this something that we do with a lot of towns? Because we got a lot of little towns in the counties. Is that a goal of the department to give the jurisdictions back to these towns and villages? The way I look at it, we're looking at doing $600,000 worth of improvements to this road that we've had forever. And then we give it free and clear forevermore back to these towns and villages. So that's kind of a concern, but I don't know if that's just what we do. The other part of it is the restrictions, and that kind of has been addressed with farm equipment. I use that a lot, and that's an important line item for me to get our equipment through the town. So if you want to address at least half of that question, and then I'll get back to, well, I'll just let you answer that.
Sure. So, in certain places, it would be a goal of the department to get rid of certain roads through some of these municipalities that either want, kind of want to do some different improvements, want to add stop signs and things like that. We've done a lot of different resurfacing projects through our through some of these villages, and we kind of approach the village about it ahead of time, and some say yes, some say no. Like in for Chenoa, for instance, I mean, it kind of makes sense because the whole County Highway 19 from the county line down to Lexington, Leroy, there's only about 100 cars a day on that road anyway. So my ultimate goal on that road would be get rid of the whole thing. So part of it's going to go to the village, and then part of it would be going to the townships if the townships would agree to that. And we don't maintain any of the sidewalks through these villages, so it's more of like with Chenoa, when we did that, we went ahead and said, well, redo the sidewalks if you take the road. So it's kind of a little negotiating on both accounts, and that's kind of how we were approaching it with Downs. Is they were wanting to make these improvements to the downtown, wanted to add stop signs, parking bump outs that that don't really it's more enhancement stuff. It's not really part of the county highway system. And so we had talked to Mr. James about jurisdictional transferring this over to Downs and kind of doing this almost the same way that we had done some of the other ones. We had just done Washington Street, about in 2014, where in front of the school there, where they ended, they took it over and made it more of a village street for them.
Are there any other questions? I think at this time we'll hear then from Mr. James with respect to the position of the village.
I had a question from Member Thompson or comment.
Member Thompson, go ahead.
So I have a question. When was this road was recently redone, wasn't it? And then what's the $600,000 for? I just drove that not too long ago, and it doesn't seem like it needed a lot of upgrades. So when was it last redone?
It's been close to 20 years. I don't know the exact time, but we haven't done anything recently on that road. I mean, we did some striping there for the village and stuff, but we haven't done anything on that road. The 600,000 that we did covers the resurfacing from Route 150 up to Franklin Street, and then from Washington Street or 150 to Washington Street, it would cover adding any additional curb and gutter, any storm sewer. Basically be kind of a whole reconstruction project that we're similar to what we're doing in Chenoa. And then the village Downs would be able to, on the 2 blocks from Washington to Franklin, is kind of incorporate their enhancement project at the same time they could do the road.
So I just think I would consider that. Maybe I
Further questions?
big.
All right.
Washington Street was redone 2 years ago, but not Seminary.
We'll hear from the village president, Mayor James. Is there anything you want to say about this?
Thank you, Mayor Casely. Mayor Casely, it's your son. Thank you, Chairman Casely. The couple comments there. We don't need a farm. We were told by the engineers that when I asked them the question about farming traffic coming through the downtown and the concern that folks had at us restricting that, which we don't have an intention of doing, that we were not allowed to do that anyway by law. So that was, from his standpoint, he goes, you don't have to worry about that because you can't do it anyway. We're willing to put a clause in there if that's what you want, just to make yourselves to be comfortable and with this agreement moving forward. That's not a problem for our village to put that back before the board to be amended. In fact, it'd be nice it's good to know because I have an agenda to post tonight, so I could have it on the agenda for Thursday to do that amendment. The other thing that Jerry had told me was that this is considered still a major artery road that would be going through, arterial road that would be going through Downs. Our restrictions or our improvements are not changing the lane widths at all. There's still 12 feet lane widths, and that's going to be what it will be in the future. It will just appear that they're smaller. That is to give the appearance that when car traffic comes through there, they'll slow down automatically because it looks like it's narrowing, but it's really not. The stop sign we're referring to, no, Jerry has some of those pictures. There's a visual that comes from the perspective of from the north looking south. That intersection right there is where we are planning on putting the stop sign. That is for ingress and egress onto that road on Seminary Street from Main Street. That road, that building there, the gray building on the south west corner blocks line of sight view to the south, and is very problematic for folks entering onto that road. And so we're trying to eliminate that line of sight issue. There is a line of sight issue even on the east side, but not near as bad going to the looking to the south. So the stop sign is one more needed for kids walking to and from school. It's needed for people entering and onto that road from the major subdivisions that are to the west, as well as some of our business traffic that comes up that direction and has some problems with that navigating that intersection. So we're trying to alleviate several things in this project, and most of it revolves around safety. Others revolve around parking, and then the beautification is really just a side aspect of it to try and improve the look of the downtown area. What Jerry's showing here is actually a concept drawing of what it looks like. The concept is more from the landscaping aspects of it. The drawing from a improvement is actually more what it will look like. But the landscaping is definitely something that's going to be probably modified, like trees, where they're going to go. Some of them don't make sense. Some of them actually could hinder line of sight issues as well. So we will probably do some more work on this. This is just a preliminary idea. The road was resurfaced. I don't know if you remember, if what you're thinking of is IDOT actually had resurfaced the overpass, I think within my time frame being on the board, which is 12 years, and is scheduled to be resurfaced again within 5 years. And I don't know if that's what maybe you were thinking of when you're asking that question. I think that's everything else, unless you have questions for me.
Do any of the members of the committee have questions that they want to put to Mayor James?
Mayor
No.
James, would you be opposed to not lowering the weight restriction on that road and keeping it in place as it stands today?
I think we had our conversation. The discussion was the concern about it being a 9-ton road, and that's what the village standard is. We do not have an objection of not making it 9-ton, but we have a concern because we don't want semi-truck traffic to continue to use the downtown area. We prefer the semi-truck traffic to go south and around onto Tawanda Barnes. Now that road is a 80,000-pound road. They have caused many problems in the backup at Seminary and 150, and we would like to eliminate that potential issue as well. Providing permits for exceeding weight limits is done on an annual basis with our current local trucking companies, or we have a homeowner who takes his semi home with him. We have those that we provide without any objection. So that's something we would also consider as well. So.
All right, further questions? Member Johnston.
Thank you. Can we put the picture back up? The bird's eye view, the one that that was shown kind of like from the top down. Yeah. So yeah. So the middle section can you show me on this picture where you're looking at? Are you talking about putting parking on the street?
So most of the parking in the downtown area is going to be what's called flex parking.
Mm-hmm.
And flex parking allows for it during the more or less the winter months to move pylons out and to, not during the winter months, during the summer months, move pylons out and to make that extended seating or extended areas for the downtown folks, businesses. And then it takes away from some of those parking spots. There'll be some down there, but not as many as are shown. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can finish. Sorry, I thought you were finishing. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say then during the winter months, it's the basically moves back in and it becomes local parking for the businesses to make it closer for folks to come in and out of there. There is a loading zone on the east side of the road there. If you're familiar with our downtown, it's right in front of Otter and the cafe, the Union Cafe. Mm-hmm. There looks to be a tree right there. That tree won't be there, but that loading zone is for semi trucks to pull in that are delivering to those 3 businesses that are downtown, the food type businesses. Right now, they park right in the middle of the street and they stop, turn on the hazards, and create a situation that's extremely dangerous for traffic going through downtown.
Okay.
So we designed a spot for them to be able to pull into.
So with the addition of this kind of like side parking, and I know that we do, one of the things that we're advocating for is to allow the farm equipment to come through, and some of it's quite wide. Are there any safety concerns about having either cars there or extended seating for restaurants, about safety for that equipment to be coming through?
Yes, so again, I'll go back to the lane width is still 12 feet. That's what it currently is today. Okay. So we have parking in the downtown area today as it is. Them navigating the downtown, they will have to overhang that each lane. They do that on today as it is. I think when I talked to one of the farmers, 16 feet was the widest lane they would need to completely accommodate his equipment. since we don't have that ability to do that here, and most roads are not 16 feet wide, yes, it will have to overhang and then obviously utilize discretion when they're going through there as to how to navigate it safely with like they do today. This should not change in the future.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there further questions?
Yeah, so I want to get back to permitting. I'm kind of having an issue now with giving Downs authority, fleet authority for permits for bigger trucks going through there. I don't know what the blend or how we realize that. Jerry, on this county road, you do all the permitting for weight restrictions. You okay with turning that aspect over to the Village of Downs?
Well, so we would, that's a 80,000 pound year-round road. So, and so we're only writing permits when when it's overweight or over length, when it's going through there. So the goal would be for the 80,000 pound cut through traffic that's not necessarily local traffic would be to use the County Highway 36 going across the interstate and over to the Gillum Road. As far as that once the road gets jurisdictional transferred over to the Village of Downs, then it's kind of in their privy to permit it how they see fit. And the way Mr. James is talking is he's going to give local permits to the people that need to go through there overweight. If that's the case, whether it's on this Seminary Street or Washington Street, that tends to be used as well. So, like I said, the ultimate goal would be to go over to Tawanda Barnes.
Okay.
When I spoke with the farmer that I talked to, he did not have a concern with that plan of using Tawanda Barnes. That worked for him. Member Friedrich, that may not work for yourself. In which case we could obviously accommodate that. The amount of times you would be coming through there would be mostly during, I would guess, harvest season, but it may be in other kind of situations. But harvest would probably be the biggest time frame, and that's a lot less than keeping that open to 80,000 pounds and letting truck traffic come through there 24/7, 365 days a week, and then deteriorating the road faster. Obviously, we as a village do not have the funding to replace this all the time, but we plan on putting this money aside that you have slated in this agreement to utilize for resurfacing this road and hopefully being able to resurface it in the future as well. But we prefer to try and preserve it as long as possible, kind of like we did with Washington Street, where once that was turned over to us, even though it was an 80,000 pound road, we reduced that weight limit to 9 tons, and we only allow local deliveries to utilize that road. So that's the goal, is to basically try and preserve it as long as possible. But we do not have a problem with giving permits as needed for farmers.
All right, thank you. Member Thompson?
Yeah, so I guess this all kind of started because after last month's meeting, because after last month's meeting, I had a conversation with a local resident who has to be a farmer. And he had a direct conversation with the mayor, and his comment, or your comment, that he interpreted was that you really didn't want the farm traffic through there. So I'm glad to hear that that is not the case. That's kind of where concerns, I got concerned and then raised the issue to some of the others. You just said that we're going to rebuild this to an 80,000 pound road and then limit it to 9 tons. It seems to be, is that accurate?
Well, we'll be resurfacing the road, similar to what you'll be doing within a couple of years anyway. That So it'll naturally be that because we'll take off probably, 2-3 inches. I don't know how much regrading we'll have to do on the road for water drainage when we do curb and, or not curb and gutter, but the storm sewer stuff through the downtown. But it will be essentially an 80,000 pound road because it already is today. I don't think that's going to change in the future.
I guess where I was going, if we're going to rebuild a road to 80,000 pounds and then turn it to a 9-ton, that seems there's a lot more construction, a lot more cost to maintaining a 80,000 pound road than it is a one for 9 tons. So that was, if we don't want to spend the extra dollars, and maybe we're not. I just had to think of that. But another question: is there a hurry on the timeline? Is there a reason we couldn't postpone this and let us think about this a month, or does this really delay anything on your part, or anybody can answer that one?
Mr. Stokes, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. So IDOT's kind of already approved these documents. So once they get approval from the village and the county, then they'll get sent back to IDOT for signatures. A couple things. I mean, it was in our 2020 budget to pay this money to the village, and the only other caveat is the if the Village of Downs is going to apply for Illinois Transportation Enhancement Funds, those applications are open up August 21st, and they're due by December 3rd, I think. So there's a couple months there that they can get their application in, but probably they just need some more guidance on how to move forward. So I guess delaying it a month probably wouldn't make or break them at all.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, you've had your light on for a while here. I'll let you go ahead.
The line is because my computer is always open, Judge. I'm on the phone.
All right. Member Frederick, do you have some further questions?
I guess mine would be a technical question because I'd really like to see before we transfer any ownership to the village, I'd like our state's attorney, legal counsel to review the agriculture restrictions and have that worded in the agreement. And I guess I would like to see that before we moved ahead. Is that fair?
So just to clarify, you're looking for restrictions related to the farm equipment?
Yeah, right. That there will not be, that everything remains in place. I just need clarification on that, if that needs to be in this transfer. I guess technically it's a law standing right now that they can't. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
All right. Is Samantha here? Okay. Member Friedrich, do you want to propose an amendment to this agreement?
Well, if in fact it's true what Mike James says, that they cannot, as a village, it's a law that you can't place an agriculture restriction on it. What I'm concerned about is later on down the road, if you put a 9-ton limit on this road, and the Village of Downs puts a 9-ton limit on the road, and my combine goes through town, it is obviously more than 9 tons. And I don't want to have a problem with that. You see, we make a rule and then there's another law that says 9 tons is 9 tons. I don't care if it's a wheelbarrow or a bulldozer or whatever, it's 9 tons. You cannot drive anything over 9 tons down this road. So that's my question, I guess, in a nutshell.
All right.
Can I comment on, can I add?
Want to comment on,
Yeah, I understand what your concern is, Member Friedrich. I think that my question back would be, what would the proposed tonnage be for that road? My reluctance is to make it an 80,000 pound road. And if we can find a compromise in between, and we can make an adjustment to our ordinances and make that so that becomes a 15, I don't know what would work for you to accommodate the combine, so you're assured that you have that ability in the future.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to be a county board member in 20 years or maybe 2 years, nor will you be the mayor. We got to look past, we got to look down the road, and I just don't want to get blindsided in a couple years and somebody says it's a 9-ton road. Keep your tractor out of downtown. That's my concern. Even though it's a law that we can't stop agriculture, somebody could. I mean, your street department guy could. It's a 9-ton road, so. And I don't know how you get around that, other than with, it stating agriculture. That's something that's a legal description, or however it needs to be addressed.
Member Frederick, I'm a farm owner, but I don't know how much a combine weighs. Can you kind of give us an idea as to what?
25 tons. 25 plus 25 tons.
25 tons.
25 tons, yes, at a minimum. And I mean, that's the reality of it. It weighs 50,000 pounds. So we're going from a 20,000 pound limit. You're wanting to impose a 20,000 pound limit, and I'm telling you, our equipment weighs twice that.
Well, I think it would be all that, the combine and any semis and any other equipment that would need to go through there would be covered under the annual permit that the village would give you to run that road. I mean, so it'd be, it'd be the same way as basically getting an overweight permit to go on any of our county highways that's over 80,000. It's just the weight limit's lower, but he's still going to give the agricultural community any permits that's needed to go through there. I mean, you don't get a permit now to travel Washington Street.
Oh, I'm curious, what's the permit? What's that cost on an annual basis? I'm just curious because I kind of forget that.
$0 for us. It's $0.
Zero. There you go. That's a good answer. That's all I have. I hate to keep beating it, but I think you realize my concern, and it's for down the road. Down the road.
But we could grant you a permit in perpetuity, and you don't have to worry about it doing the annual license or annual permitting too. There's ways around that to keep that from happening too. So I'm definitely willing to discuss that and make that happen for you guys, because again, we are a farming community. We do not want to restrict farming traffic through the downtown and cause any issues for you as far as being able to make a living of farming. So.
Samantha, do you think that you could prepare a proposed amendment?
Yes, if that's something that you wanted me to do, and if someone were to table this to a date certain, I could work on that between now and then. And we can come back and revisit this. I can take an opportunity to talk to Mr. James or whoever else from Downs, and perhaps we'll come up with something that would be mutually beneficial.
Member Frederick.
I'd like to do that, make that motion that we have the state's attorney's office look at the concern. Let's table it for a date certain And that's my motion today.
All right, is there a second? Member Smith. Discussion of the motion to table this?
Elizabeth had a question.
Member Johnston.
Thank you. It seems that the Village of Downs is agreeable to some of the concerns that we have. And if Ms. Vasquez is willing to write up the amendment according to what the discussion was today and what the parties agreed to, then we can table it to the stand-up meeting, and then it can get through executive and to the board this month, and it won't cause any delays in the application process, is what Mr. Stokes was referring to.
Samantha, is that possible as far as the state's attorney's office is concerned?
I don't see a problem with that.
Chairman,
Yes,
I have a question for Mr. Stokes, if I may.
go
Thank you.
ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Stokes, would amending this agreement that has already been approved by IDOT then require resubmission to IDOT for reexamination, considering some of the language might change?
No, I would just say that once we took it through our county boards and councils, that we just added this language in there and send it in as for the full approval process. And that, you know, if they have issues, they can come back to us. But I don't see that being a problem.
Thank you.
All right. Further discussion of this motion? All right, and those in favor of, oh, excuse me, I gotta have a roll call on this.
Are you guys voting to table to stand up or a different date?
Table to stand up. All right,
Okay. You ready for me to take roll
Yes.
call vote?
go ahead.
Okay, this is to table items, sorry. A1, A, B, C to stand up, which is August 18th. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Wachinski,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley, are you voting?
Yes,
Okay. Passes.
all right. Samantha, then I'm going to ask you to prepare an amendment for consideration at stand-up. The next item on our agenda is a request for approval of the July 28, 2020 equipment letting. Does anybody want to be heard on this? My motion, maybe? Moved by Member Smith. Seconded by Member Frederick. Is there any discussion of this new paint truck, I believe? If not, then I'll ask you to call the roll.
Okay. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Sorry. Yes.
Member Wachinski,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley, are you voting?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
The ayes have it. We need to consider a motor fuel tax resolution for the improvement in place of Ropp Road from White Oak Road north for, what, 3 miles, Jerry?
Yes, it's a project 3 miles. It's actually a matching tax resolution, not an MFT. this kind of, we took them, in June, we had a resolution for the MFT to start the design work. And then we were trying to sort through the funding, where the funding is going to come from. And so part of it's going to come from the STU funds for the urbanized area. And then we just found out last week that we received TARP funds for this project as well. You upgraded to an 80,000 pound route. And so that'll cover majority of our 80% or 20% match that we need to do for the STU funds. And so this resolution is for $50,000 just to make up the difference or the overrun.
All right. Is there a motion on this? Motion by member Johnston, seconded by member Smith. Discussion? We've been very satisfied with the scarifying the surface and putting it right back on the highway. We've had several of those.
Yes, it seems to be working well, and I got some pictures to show here later on of Ron Smith up around Lake Bloomington to kind of show the process a little bit more.
All right. We'll go ahead then and vote on the matching tax resolution proposition. If you will call the roll, please.
Sure. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Wachinski,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley, are you voting?
I am, yes, yes. All right. The resolution, the proposition to recommend adoption of the resolution for improvement of Rock Road has carried. And then we have a request for an engineering services agreement with Lewis, Yockey, and Brown. Is there a motion? Moved by member Johnston, seconded by member Martin. Is there any discussion on this item? All right, all in, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Wachinski,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley, are you voting on this one?
I'm voting yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right. We have no positions recently filled in the highway department. And we'll go on to a report on projects in process. So I'll let you go ahead, Mr. Stokes. Oh, member Johnston.
Sorry to interrupt. I do need to run to work, but Mr. Stokes, I will watch this replayed on YouTube so that I can hear the updates. And thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
We'll let you go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, so the first project is Division Street in Chenoa, and so that project's gotten underway. We had a little bit of issue with Nicor, the gas, and not so much they got in there and did the work, but they had to hook up the services to the new houses and getting that all scheduled and lined up. But they've got the main run, the storm sewer in, they're working on laterals, and so that project's moving along. The next project is Ron Smith Highway. And so they just finished up the CIR, cold in place recycling, yesterday. And so I do have a few pictures I can show you here. So this is kind of the start of the train here. And this middle semi carries the emulsion, and it injects it into the milling machine that's back here. And then that milling machine tills it up, and then it goes into the paver and laid back down. That's not working. Okay, maybe I gotta move this stuff. Hang on. Okay. So then, so this is another picture. So you can kind of see the milling machine a little bit better with the emulsion, and then the pavers here in the back. And then, so here's kind of the difference between the two pavements. And there's a roller here. We ended up milling off an inch of the existing road, and then that was stockpiled at a location nearby. And then we came in and widened 3 foot on each side. And then the material that was used on the road was put back in this widening trench. And so then this is the mat after the CIR, then the train goes across it. And there's kind of a picture of the old road, and then where we widened at with the new milling. So there's a little bit of a drop off here, but once the CIR does in, it fills it all in together. And then there's
Tell us what a CIR is.
That's the cold in place recycling. So it's cold oil injected into the road, and then it's recycled.
Thank
you.
you.
So this is the material, what it looks like when it goes down. So and then after it cures out, then it hardens up. And so there's just kind of another picture of the mat after it's laid. And then they come in, and what we'll do is we'll mill off about 1/4 inch of this to kind of smooth it out and take out any irregular areas in here, and smooth it out. And then we'll put hot mix over the whole entire mat. And so there you can kind of see more of it once it's started to dry out some, and the difference in between the 2 lanes. And then there's just another picture of the widening that we did in this area. So that's Ron Smith. And then we got the Park Culvert project, and that is underway as well. They've got the box taken out, and so they're just finishing working on the grading out for the new box, which is a lot wider than what was there. So they have a lot of backfill to put down and build a base up before the box can be delivered. So I don't have any picture of that, but I do have a picture that's not on the list of the Alvis Bridge project, which is down by Downs. And so this is a project that we're scarifying the existing deck, and so they scarified it. When they come in and milled off about a 1/4 inch, and then they're coming in and scarifying the 3/4 inch, and that's what this machine here is doing. And I'll show you a little bit better picture. So it's scarifying the deck and breaking it all up. And basically, I don't know if you remember, some of the members, this is the bridge we stopped at where we got out and checked. We sounded the deck, and I think we had somebody come and talk to us about whether we needed help or not. But anyway, so then so they cleaned all this up, and you can kind of see the rebar here. This is where all the bad concrete was at. So this is kind of what we want. And then this machine here on the right is going to come and vacuum all this debris up. And so you kind of can see it's picking all this up. And then this is kind of what it looks like when they're done scarifying it. But once they're done with all the scarifying, then we go back in there and we sound the deck again, which means we're going in there trying to find all the bad concrete spots. And so what they do then is these pink lines, this is where we marked everything out, and where they still need to chip off this concrete because it still sounds hollow. And so they come in and do that. And there's some other areas. And this is the area that's kind of was real bad on the bridge. It's on the east side of the bridge. And then, so here's kind of where they started, got it all cleaned up. You can still see the rebar, which is not a problem. And then this is kind of them jackhammering these bad spots out. And I think it ended up taking like 3 passes of us sounding the deck and then jackhammering that out. And we'll add some of the rebar has corroded off enough where we'll have to add some additional rebar in certain spots. But they're on Thursday, they're actually going to pour the latex concrete over this deck. And so, and then probably about another week or so after that, it'll be open back up. So it's been a really neat project for us. We haven't done anything. The state does a lot of these. They're actually doing, Stark's doing a bunch of these on I-39. And so the company that does pouring the concrete are pouring those today and tomorrow, and then they're coming to us on Thursday.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Jerry with respect to this bridge? Member
Yes.
Frederick?
Yeah, I went out there on several occasions, met Jerry out there. This is a new concept to us. I'm really excited about it. They're doing it on the interstate. I'm hearing lots of good reports for it. Works better than concrete, and I think it's something that this county will be doing moving forward. So this is the new thing, and covering these bridges and sealing it up. So we'll keep an eye on it. People look like they're doing a good job, Jerry, and it's progressing well. And I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we probably will be doing a lot more of this. We got, so some townships that need this work done. We used to do like just a regular pavement patching where we'd go out and sound the deck, and then we'd have Stark come in and we'd, square, they'd do squares, and then they pour new concrete on there. But 5 years later, we'd have to come back and do more patching. So this, basically takes all that bad concrete out and resurfaces the deck all at once.
Further questions? Member Thompson?
So this isn't about this, a couple other things. You ready to move forward? Or
Sure.
2 questions. One, update on how are we getting along with the wind farm traffic up in North Amelia? Are we getting any resolution there? Are they still being, what's going on there?
Sure. So all the foundations are poured. So all the concrete trucks are done. They're actually working on eliminating taking down the batch plant and that. So they've been running water trucks, and the dust control, they're still applying that product. So I have not heard any complaints and haven't really noticed anything when I've been up there, which hasn't been a whole lot recently. But so right now they're erecting, and so they have crane crossings going on. The major traffic we have going is the component deliveries. They're doing like 2 a day to these tower sites, and so that's the main issues. But I think the dust has improved tremendously from what I'm told.
Is that because the traffic's just down considerably, or did they actually do something about it?
I'm gonna say it's a combination of both. I think on the south end, the traffic's down considerably. I think they did a better job once they were finishing out, pouring out the foundations, that that they had more water trucks out in front of everything, and did a better job in that regard. And as far as following up, now that they're done pouring concrete, and as they move forward, was still just construction traffic. We'll have to keep an eye on things.
Okay. Then can you give me an update on the culvert situation in Saybrook area, east of Saybrook?
Yes, we installed that last week. So we met with the landowners, and that is done. We've taken out the old culvert and installed a new one. So that's been taken care of.
And what's the first one didn't work? What happens when this one doesn't work? Who's responsible? Or do we have a much greater feeling of success because the last one didn't work out very well?
Yes, we were able to move it down further to the south, and we're able to upsize it another to 96 inch. So actually a foot larger in this area, and so it's the same capacity as what was, or more capacity what was previously there.
Is it in the same location as the one you removed?
No, it's further south than the one we removed yet. So there'll be that much more storage capacity in for the ditch.
And this was done at a cost to the landowner?
He did pay for the culvert, yes. And then we took care of the installation.
And so the initial layout was basically money wasted?
It was paid by the railroad. So, I mean,
I didn't ask who it was paid by. There's a difference. The money was wasted, right?
The money was wasted. We still have the culvert and are able to use it on another project.
But the end result is the landowner had to pay an additional $12,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's unfortunate. And so I guess I go back, what's the guarantee and what happens if this one doesn't work? Are we just assuming it's going to, or because we can't continue this, there has to be some, I guess what I'm going.
If I may, so the location we put the new pipe at was further south than the old box culvert that was there. And this location, based on the elevation shots I took, any backup or overflow will go in the field and then wrap around to the 10 by 10 box culvert that's just to maybe 500 foot south of here. So it's going to be going in the field a lot less area than what it was before. And then it has a lot less chance of going on the road at this location as well. So it's with the situation the way it is, it's kind of the best fit solution for everybody.
The problem is, the landowner had to come up with an additional $12,000. This could have been resolved had we had a better communication process in the beginning. Would that be an accurate statement?
May I jump in? This is Camille. I am all about problem solving. And so I guess I would encourage us to have a conversation about how we problem solve. I feel like we're questioning Mr. Stokes and Mr. Hohulen to admit to some wrongdoings that perhaps, we could instead talk about how we will do it differently in the future. Again, I'm appreciative, Member Thompson, of you bringing this up. I just feel like this is uncomfortable. I'm going to acknowledge that. And I would appreciate we talk about or allow Mr. Stokes and Mr. Hohulen to talk about maybe some of their observations about how we could do this differently in the future. Thank you.
I would agree. I was uncomfortable for me when I had to have a conversation with the landowners as well. So I feel your pain. And I would like to, as we move forward, figure out a way that we can resolve or come up with a different communication process. I think that would have helped tremendously for them and everybody involved.
Well, I think that these people out there certainly had a lot of attention given to this. Member Frederick was out there, I was out there, and the highway department was out there, both Mr. Stokes and Mr. Hohulan. So we have certainly listened to the adjacent landowners, most of whom reside in Ford County.
The taxes are paid in McLean, by the way.
What?
Yes.
The taxes are paid in McLean on this farm.
So at any rate, we have given a good deal of attention to this matter. It's not something that we've been neglectful about at all. I think we'll move on then to item 5B3, and the other is our annual field trip. And I would suggest that we do that at the after the September meeting of this committee. Does anybody want to be heard on that? All right, do you want me to meet with Jerry and Luke and see what items that we ought to be taking a look at, things that are completed? And I don't know, is the Shanoa project to be completed before the start of school?
No, that snow project will not be done before the start of school. The Park Culvert project will not be completed. The Ron Smith will be close. Tawanda East will be close. The Salis Bridge should be completed. So, I mean, there'll be some completed, but there'll be other projects still going on in the fall. But I guess we need to figure out how we want to, how we're going to do that as far as, travel to these sites, if we want to do it individually or, if we need to rearrange transportation on how we need to go about it.
All right.
May I also add, Chairman Casely?
Yeah.
Just sort of a public health perspective, a field trip would require perhaps some of us riding together in a vehicle. And so I would have to say that everyone would have to use their best judgment and comfort level in riding in close quarters for extended periods of time. Obviously, wearing masks would be the preferred option, but also having only 2 people to a vehicle with one in the front and one in the back would not even provide 6 feet of distance in between. So I'm just bringing that up because September is really just a little bit away, and I don't see any of our situations changing regarding social distancing. So just a friendly reminder in that regard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Maybe we can have further conversations with the highway department and see what we can come up with as a proposition for our annual field trip.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for attending today. It's been kind of an extended committee meeting, but I think we have accomplished a good deal and given thorough consideration to the matters that we have. So thank you, and the meeting is concluded and we are adjourned.